Let's take two. Good evening, good evening, good evening, everybody. This is Black Talk Platform, and I am your host, Dr. Deborah D. Jenkins, on a Friday night known as November 18th. And I'm having all kind of problems already, but you know what? Hang in there with me because the content is what you came for, not the lighting. I am so pleased to bring this show tonight because this is something that the entire Black community in the United States needs to be informed about. And I'm just so excited to know this young lady and the great work that she has been doing for several years. I'm not going to delay. I'm going to go ahead and give a brief introduction of my guest tonight, and then I will bring her on to the show. She is Miss Brooke Sinclair. She is a political activist and future billionaire. So I'm getting in on the ground level before she becomes a billionaire and she won't forget me, right? Miss Brooke Sinclair is one of Houston's most influential entrepreneurs. Sinclair has used her network to fight bigotry and exploitation from Caucasians and immigrant venture capitalists. Sinclair established herself as an outspoken advocate for equality after dealing with bigotry and hatred from racist venture capitalists and pre-seed tech accelerators. Um, Brooke is going to get into that tonight, but the real reason why I have invited Miss Sinclair, Brooke, as she is known by me and many others, on tonight is to talk about this powerful, powerful organization that she has started on her own with her team to take care of issues that affect the Black community because clearly they're not being addressed by other well established organizations that feign speaking for everyone who is marginalized. But the reality is they only speak to and for and on behalf of one particular group in the United States. And that just will not do. And so, therefore, through her By Our Blood Political Action Committee, Brooke and her colleagues have also started an Anti-Black Defamation League, and I am so pleased to bring her on to the Black Talk platform um, as a guest tonight. Welcome, Brooke. Welcome to Black Talk platform.
Hello, Dr. Deborah. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
It is a pleasure to have you. I am so excited about all of your work. I love the conversations that we're able to eke out here and there. They are always fruitful for me. And to get into your head as a techie, which is a field that is wide open, but you have had some challenges, as I read in your bio, in trying to raise first round venture capital for your excellent projects. Would you share a little bit about that before we really get into the meat of why we're here tonight?
Sure. So in my tech profession, my 9 to 5, so to speak, I'm also the founder of Valore. We're digitally connecting Black-owned retailers to Black-owned farms through an app, and then we're using Black-owned trucking companies to transport the goods, essentially creating a Black-owned supply chain. The way agriculture is currently set up, even though it's dysfunctional, it still generates about $1 billion or $1 trillion in agriculture, into the GDP. And so we figure that there's another billion waiting there for us for a Black-owned supply chain.
I love it. And you know how passionate I am about Black farmers. So
Mm-hmm.
that is one of the issues around which we connect because of the great work you're doing. And I hope that the audience heard you clearly. We all know that during the latter part of the height of the pandemic, we experienced well, it wasn't even the latter part because I remember going on, well, I guess it might have been the latter part. Earlier this year, the end of 2021, we were experiencing a nationwide supply chain problem. And so
Mhm.
what Brooke is saying is that instead of trying to bite the whole apple, she has found her niche working with and supporting the work of Black farmers. And for that, I give you praise and I applaud you
Thank
because
you.
they are in need of some type of support. So not only is she working with Black farmers, right? She's
Yeah.
also working with Black owned truckers
Yes.
to ensure that their produce, the Black farmers' produce, their items, their meats, all that they sell and grow and harvest, all that they are responsible for, doesn't go to waste, that they're not
Mhm.
burning their crops, but that they are able to still be vibrant in
Mm.
this economy. I love it, Brooke. I love, love, love it. And
Thank
I
you.
hope it's going very well for you. How's that going for you?
Oh my gosh, it is going masterfully. We've closed in our first two, we're launching, so the first 200 Black farms in North Carolina
Wow.
and an undisclosed location. We've brought on landowners in Mississippi and in Georgia. And so we're going to be able to cover a lot of acreage and help a lot of people in a lot of different ways. And I'm just really excited about the opportunity for people to generate revenue that isn't necessarily based upon the logistics.
Mhm.
There's an opportunity for people who have been, left inherited land to use that to make money too. So it's dynamic.
Incredible. Incredible. And I truly thank you because some people such as yourself who have heard me speak about reparations, which we also do work together, and that's a whole map, right? The whole
Hmm.
reparations movement is a whole map of redress that is owed to descendants of enslaved people in the United States. And we always make that distinction because I'm very proud of our Caribbean brothers and sisters who have, say, CARICOM to do that work for them in
Yeah.
their countries, right?
Yeah.
Over here, it's a little splintered because there are those who believe that we here in the United States should include our Caribbean brothers and sisters and perhaps even some of our brothers and sisters from the continent. But no, we are doing this work on behalf of people like ourselves who have descended
Mm-hmm.
from chattel slavery here in the United States. And so around that, I always say that I believe, and no one has to agree with me, Brooke, not even you, even though you work closely with them, but I always say that I believe that in terms of reparations, the Black farmers should go first if there's an order, because we've lost, and Marcel Dixon often tells us we've lost over 18 million with an M, people,
Yeah.
acres of land since Reconstruction time. And that's just unacceptable. We're down to the single digits, around 9 million, if I'm not mistaken. Certainly correct me. Okay. So I love the work that you're doing and I appreciate it. And however I can help, let me know. She is
Thank you.
connected for any Black farmers out there. She is connected to the plugs that you all need to be connected to. She's
Yes.
working with 200 farmers in North Carolina alone. Black farmers, this is all about Blackness. We are unapologetically Black on Black
Amen.
Forum.
Sorry. No offense to anybody else.
Right, right. And so, listen, please
Yeah.
tap into the resources Brooke Sinclair has to share. They are so necessary. And there's my friend Rodney. Hey, Rodney. He's always here supporting. But so when we talk about the puzzle pieces for the reparations movement, Rodney's piece is always education, and I don't disagree with that either. There are so many pieces because there's so much harm, right? There's been so
Mhm.
much harm to us. There continues to be so much harm to us. And why we're here tonight is because you recognize this harm in a
Yes.
very violent way, in a very physical way, in a way that is costing those who have been able to eke out for themselves and their families financial independence and stability. And they
Mm-hmm.
are often those that we look to and call celebrities. And you, through the By Our Blood Political Action Committee started a Anti-Black Defamation League,
Yeah.
and your first public presser, I guess, or press release has been on behalf of one of those who is still being harmed by
Mhm.
anti-blackness. And I wanted to pull up my tweet, which sparked our conversation tonight, because people resonate with what you have shared. And I thank you so much for not being afraid.
I'm
And
so glad.
I'm gonna be quiet so that you can talk. But parenthetically, I was talking to my son yesterday, telling him you would be on today. I talk to my kids about everything.
Yeah.
And I want to thank Brooke before she speaks about her national press release. Um, I want to thank you for when I reached out to the Anti-Black Defamation League after having tweeted, "Stop telling Black men what to do," and I come back to racist vitriol, even one being a threat to my life. It happened shortly in the same week, if I'm not mistaken, Brooke, in the same week that we as a community lost Brother Takeoff. So
Mhm.
basically, I was told in response to my tweet that they hope I take off with that nonsense. I reported it to Miss Sinclair as the lead of the Anti-Black Defamation League, and she did tell me that she considers that a hate crime. I reported it to Twitter, and I've not heard anything yet. That's why we need a Miss Brooke Sinclair, because she is us and she
Yes.
understands. And I'll let you know that the NYPD has told me to file a complaint as well. I will be doing that. And I may even kick it up to the FBI if that is what your expertise tells you that I should do. But I thank you.
Yes.
Thank
Honestly, I that is something that we're going to start call it reporting things. Us reporting at least to the FBI, something we're going to start initiating that communication. Yeah.
Excellent, excellent. Well, so again, I want you, and if you want, please feel free to read it. I should have gotten it from you so that I could share it, because I post too much. I couldn't find it quickly in my Twitter stream so that I can share
Oh,
it. But if you would like to read it in its entirety, I would be happy to have you do so. I'm going to give you the screen to tell so that you can tell the people about the Anti-Black Defamation League, why it's important to us as Blacks, and why it's needed, and how we can support the work you're doing for us.
yes.
Take it away.
Okay, so first, the Anti-Black Defamation League is specifically built with the intent to protect well, not African, excuse me, American freedmen, American Negroes, from the constant defamation and violent attacks that we are constantly under. So, in 2019, the FBI says that 26% of the hate crimes were really anti-Black hate crimes. I believe that was about 8,000 hate crimes that were committed, but yet uh, Asians came out with an anti-Asian hate crime bill, which I didn't even think that that was something that was possible, seeing as though such a history of lynching was in America. I realized that there used to be the NAACP who would kind of fight discriminatory practices. However, the NAACP has not really worked for the benefit of American freedmen in quite a long time. And so I realized we needed something that was there for us, somebody that was there to protect us. And so I just culturally appropriated the ADL. I just said, well, I know how to do this. We'll just take what they do and remodel it, and now it's for us.
Yeah,
And so, yeah.
I love it. I love it. Let me say, that tweet had so many people interested. I believe when I last looked at it earlier this morning, but now I can't find it. About 800 people had liked it, and another 300 had retweeted it. And that's a small universe, but it's large enough to show that there is interest, to show that what you're doing is actually necessary, because we don't have a recourse other than to fight, But if you don't see your enemy and they're just threatening you behind Twitter walls or by mail, who are you fighting really? But your league is actually taking up the fight for us. And I love the
Mhm.
fact that you did your research. Be one of the questions that was asked, and I believe you just clarified it. Someone said, who is it? Because no one really, for those of you who are listening, no one has really talked about protecting Black people, right? And every time it comes up, there are all these 1,000 excuses as to why we don't need any particular protection. But Brooke just shared with us the FBI's own data. They've been saying it for the longest. They just said it again earlier this week, because they were saying that there is an emphasis that the Department of Justice is placing on international terrorism when they really need to be looking at the domestic terrorism. And if their numbers hold up to what they just said this week, they are saying again that Blacks are constantly under attack from racists in this country, and they really need to put greater resources towards that. And so that is what you're doing. And I love the appropriation, because listen, come on now, if we can really talk about it, everything we do is being appropriated by somebody else who is not us. You turn on the TV, they're dancing like us. We remember a couple of years ago when white TikTokers were being paid, when the Black dancer TikTokers were not being paid for the things that they were doing. And then when Jimmy Fallon decided, well, I'll be equitable, he brings on the white TikToker on screen and has to do a virtual with the Black TikToker. I mean, make all of this make sense to me, Brooke. Can you? I don't know.
No, I remember watching that episode too of that white girl dancing, and I was like, "Why? Who is watching this girl? Like, TikToker
Right,
people what like that?"
right, right. Well, they did. And it's not even like, right? It's just preference for anyone who's not us, even though they take our stuff. And so you are well within your right to appropriate the ADL, because it does not work for us. So
No.
your mission with the Anti-Black Defamation League is to do what?
The Anti-Black Defamation League is to eliminate sworn to protect the image and identity of the Black American freedman, American Negro, and descendant of chattel slavery.
Okay. Do me a favor, for those who
Mhm.
are not familiar with the language that we often use. And I mean, we are both well educated people, and I know the people who are watching are also. But the freedmen language has been lost on Black people. For one thing, education has left it out.
I mean,
Two, and I don't want to get too deep into this, even as Vice President Harris this year was making um, um, a speech about the Freedmen Bank, it still has the feeling of erasure for me. So if it's been erased in our grade schools, and we're all adults now, and we don't really know, can you just share who are the American freedmen according to the law?
according to the law, any persons who were enslaved, who might have either been from Africa or could have been of a freed black person who was tricked into slavery, kind of like the 12 Years a Slave story. After slavery, they were freed, and so the government can classified them or give them the distinction. Forgive me, I forget what term it is or what classification or code you call it, but The freed slaves became known as freedmen.
Mhm.
And so many people might have heard about the Freedmen's Bank, the Freedmen's Bureau. I
Mhm.
personally, my family were Cherokee freedmen. So, yeah. But
So yes, so we do have some Native American, those who are known as Native American freedmen as well. We
yeah,
do. And I think that is important that we, let them know. And it's so funny because when you and I first started talking, you had just found your Cherokee lineage. I do hope that
yeah.
you have verified yourself within the nation, because I understand that Reverend Al and Reverend Jackson have, and they've already begun receiving their checks. Brooke, get on it if you have not as yet.
Hmm. Maybe.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's out there. It's out there. It's out there.
I'll check. I'll
Okay,
check it.
so now that we know who the Anti-Black Defamation League is working to protect, can you tell us about this powerful um press release? Is it? Was it a press release?
Yes, press release.
The press release that you issued this week. And let's have a little background, because I will probably get more hate mail or whatever if I say it, but maybe we both will, because we are not afraid to talk about it. And when I was sharing with you that I told my son that I didn't sign on to the letter because I had not, you and I had this private conversation. They were concerned, my husband and my son, they were concerned about my safety. But then I had to have a real conversation with myself. And if my sister is still there, I hope she'll be happy when I say what I said to you, that I'm going to stop trying to put out every fire. I
Mm,
can't, because I've realized that people will say they will pray for people, but they won't show up. But guess who will? Deborah will always show up. I've always shown up. But this was a hard decision not to show up on City Island last week, because I had to follow the lead of my husband and my son. And once I realized that I can't always put myself on the line,
yeah.
because I know my son would have gone with me. And so I wouldn't have only been putting myself in danger, I would have been putting him in danger as well. And so he said, I really wish you had signed that letter that Miss Brooke did. And I said, I do too.
Oh,
He but
oh.
but look, he got a whole lot of life ahead of him. I got a little but no, I understood. He did, once he understood, like I shared with you and what I just shared with the audience, that's when he came to that. And but you know what? I do stand with Kyrie. How about that? Go ahead, Brooke, it's on you.
And when you explained it to me, I completely understood. Safety first. So yes, the background. Basically the situation that has happened with Kyrie is exactly what a situation or a process called buck breaking.
Yes.
Uh, a process, that actually I think you might have mentioned and spoke about it, a buck breaking last week on your show a little
A
bit,
couple of
Doctor.
weeks ago with Pastor Davis. Absolutely, we did.
Okay.
You were
Okay.
there. I think I saw you in the audience.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes. So I took lots of notes and took a lot of the things that you said and put them into a statement. And so I'll just read the statement and then kind of go from there if that's okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. So the statement, our official statement of the is Dear Black Americans, the Anti-Black Defamation League has written the following statement in support of Mr. Kyrie Irving. We represent the voice of 42 million descendants of chattel slaves in the United States, and today we stand behind Mr. Kyrie Irving and his First Amendment right to free speech. The ABDL is committed to a social media blockout. Blockout means blocking the NBA profiles and its annual sponsors of 50 million or more on all social media platforms. That means the profiles of Nike, Microsoft, AB InBev, Pepsi, AT&T, and so many more. Even if you aren't following them, especially if you're not following these profiles, then we need you to go ahead and block them on your most favorite. If you're an avid user of LinkedIn, or if you really use Twitter all the time, even the newer platforms like Caffeine, block them. Um, this blockout, specifically when you block the profile, it disrupts the algorithm and means that that platform, like Twitter, it collects less data on you. Now, Twitter is already saying that they're probably going to shut down next week anyway. So that limits down the number of social media platforms. But when you do this, you take money not only from that advertisement from NBA being able to sell ads, or for the NBA to show you ads, rather, excuse me, but then you disrupt that platform's ability to make money. And ultimately, the platform is really what is going to help move the NBA ultimately. So not only are we behind, and do we support with a number of partners the NBA, a full boycott of the NBA and its partners, but we also support and encourage a social media blockout. And to the players, if you feel unsafe at home or work while traveling, please contact Shield of Valor Executive Protection today. Shield of Valor can offer you 24-hour service executive protection and is a Freedman-owned business. For details, please contact Shield of Valor Rep or EP.com. That's Shield of Valor EP.com. Sincerely, Brooke Sinclair, founder, Anti-Black Defamation League.
Incredible. That was incredible. And I thank you. I typed in shieldofvalorep.com just in case there are those professional players who feel that they may need this assistance. That was beautifully written. We will, I can tell you, I have two young adults, and I had my oldest was the last that we purchased any products from Nike. And like I said, he's a young adult, and he was a toddler, and that actually didn't have anything to do with blackness at the time. It was about the way they were treating their workers. They've been in
Oh,
that company for many years. But this, if I were, and I tell you, I only ever bought Nike up to that point, and
really?
their styles are par excellent. They have the best styles of any, in my opinion, of any sneaker company out there. I have never gone back, and I absolutely would never go back at this point. Never. I'm actually in need of some now, some sneakers, but I will not be buying those. And Adidas either. And I love Adidas.
I mean,
But no, just the same way I have not returned to the NFL, and I am a lifelong Dallas Cowboys fan. Haven't watched the game since 2016, and
woo,
and even though Colin Kaepernick has settled and all of that stuff, he's still not playing. That's another egg to fry. It's principle to me. It's really about principle. And do I miss the NFL? Or watching the Dallas Cowboys play, win or lose, I do. But for
mm,
me, I'm just a little bit more committed to the causes that support our wholeness,
mm-hmm.
and the way the NFL has behaved, and now the NBA. Um, I'm not, so I really appreciate. Um, Rodney is asking it. Did I type that in correctly? Shield of Valor or EP.com. I may have mistyped that. Brooke,
Okay,
you can actually type it, I think,
I
and
can
then I'll
type.
put it across there.
I think
So,
so.
just to get into some of what you were saying, have you had any response from any of the NBA players, the Players Association? I was not real happy with the comment that they released a day or so ago, but I'm not on the inside either. In regards to having protected Kyrie's rights, I wasn't comfortable with that, but I don't even know if you've seen it. but I guess ultimately it's not for me to be comfortable with, it's for him to be comfortable with. I just felt like it was a cop out. They basically said that they have done they've worked with the NBA and they have made sure that Irving's rights were protected as well as all other NBA players. Did you see that?
No, when did this happen?
It's on my very long Twitter wall. I'll send it to you in the back channel. But
Okay.
I wasn't really comfortable with that. I even took that quote and put it in my tweet because I took exception to it. Um, and of course, all eyes are on him for tomorrow Sunday's game to see if he will have adhered to the
All
remaining
eyes are on
items
him
in their
for.
list. I'm
Mm.
sorry.
No, nothing.
Okay. Yeah. So and let me be very clear.
Hmm.
This is a man who has a wife and a family. Whatever Kyrie Irving decides, I'm okay with it because I think there needs to be an understanding that Black men have a burden that we don't have as Black women to care for their families. What they've done to him is indeed buck breaking, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Even with all of the apologies, still not enough.
Apologies.
Yeah, I mean, I
Oh,
don't feel that he had any reason to apologize. That's one, right?
I
But he
thought you
has
meant
made
that people
apologies.
apologize to him.
He absolutely deserves apologies, and which again is why your organization is so critical and necessary. Because what happens is I had I won't call it a heated exchange because I refuse to allow it to be so on
Hmm.
Instagram. When I posted, I stand with him
Hmm.
because there was this story that he was going to retire, and that turned out to be a bogus story.
Yeah.
I might have posted on Twitter too, but this was on Instagram. And someone who I follow, he said to me, he says, I am so surprised that you take this stand because he did what he did and he brought all of this on himself. This was a Black man. And I was appalled because I don't know him from Adam. We know each other on Instagram and we have the back and forth banter about dogs and other things that are common. But when he saw that,
Yeah.
he just went off. And people came in saying, "What are you talking about?" To him. And I just let him know. I said, "Listen." He said he gets paid. He said he gets paid to play basketball. I said, "So, oh, you want to Lara Flanders him? You want him to just shut up and dribble?" And see, I'm
Mm.
not about standing with anyone who tells Black men that they should just shut up and dribble or
Mm-mm.
shut up and play football, throw a ball. And
Mm-mm.
it went on and on and on. I said, we have people like John Carlos. We have people like
Mm.
Muhammad Ali, and Colin Kaepernick, and now Kyrie Irving. And you're saying that he was hired to do a job? I said, did you even watch the film that he posted and made absolutely no commentary about? No, I didn't see the film, but so what are you talking about? So this was crazy to me, Brooke. This was absolute madness to me. But there's that threat. So when you talk about trying to protect us, you do know that you might see something, find it egregious and something that you and the Anti-Black Defamation League should take up. But do
Yeah.
you realize that the very person who is the victim may not see it the way you see it?
Yes. And that is why we are building, that's why we're specifically building a league, right? So we're informing and educating other people, from teenagers to grandparents, teaching them how to recognize and identify defamation in their own lives,
Okay.
right? Because if you can start, it's kind of like the microaggression approach, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not full racism because it's micro racism. And
Yep.
so taking that same approach and using it for good, it's rather than having a bunch of public statements and press releases, we're teaching people how to just offer opportunities for growth. We call
Okay.
them opportunities for growth,
I love it. I love
right?
it. Mm-hmm.
So when a grandfather is being, defaming Black Americans or using the term Negro incorrectly, and in that case, in that gentleman's case, I would ask him, where are his people from? Because just because he's melanated does not mean that he's a freedman.
Right, right. And the perspectives are often different, right? Because a lot of just because they're melanated, like you said, that doesn't mean that they're freedmen, which means that they don't share the background that we have come from, right? And
Right.
they don't also empathize or identify with our background. And so often they take the dominant society's side in a lot of the stuff that happens to us, and that really bothers me. Now I'm going to say I have a lot of associates and friends from the continent and family members in the Caribbean or from the Caribbean and friends, so I have no problem with those who are not freedmen. And I've honestly not really experienced what I see a lot of American blacks experience. I think we've said this. I've said this to you before. I've said it in spaces. I've just not had those experiences, but that doesn't mean that yours are not valid.
Yeah.
You had one in trying to raise funds, didn't you?
I
Didn't
mean,
you?
so many.
I mean,
I mean,
I mean, but I want to amplify the one that while during the pandemic, and there were so many businesses giving money when it came for Valoret, did I say that right? Valoret, to try to raise first round funds, you found that they wanted or they preferred to give it to blacks from the continent or
yes.
or from the Caribbean, but not American blacks. And that
Yeah.
had to be hurtful, first of all, but also devastating as you're trying to hold on and grow your business.
Mm-hmm.
And we're
Mm-hmm.
finding that a lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's why I use the word erasure.
And it literally is erasure. And even when you think about when you take a stand back and you look at the Latino cultures in tech and VCs, Latino and Asians, they very clearly will say, we are an Asian VC firm and we invest in Asian, underrepresented Asians.
Yeah.
But that's not underrepresented. That's the same as if a white person was a white VC investing in a white founder. As the same thing. They're not. There are over a billion people. They're not underrepresented in life or in technology.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So for an Asian VC to be in Silicon Valley saying we invest in underrepresented people, all they're
Mm-hmm.
really saying is we invest in other immigrants.
Right. Right. And not American blacks. And I
Not
feel
American.
like that's always the refrain, not American blacks, not American blacks. I was looking at a lot of in New York, I'm in New York. And so in New York, it is very hard, very difficult for blacks to get into construction. And when I
Oof.
say blacks, I mean American blacks, because the city, has done their own data run on the industries that we are basically kept out of. Now, to be sure, Italians, they run construction here, but there are billions and billions of dollars that go into any project here. The JFK, not JFK, LaGuardia Airport, that wing that was just redone. A group of black ministers, I have to say, um, went to the governor at the time, Cuomo, and said, listen, there is not enough money being given to black owned construction companies and their employees. So there is some value in having collective voice to go and fight for you. But
Yes.
what I heard the other day is that a lot of the migrants that have been sent from places like your state, Texas, and
Mm.
Florida, um, the agencies that work with them have been trying to get them into the OSHA classes, because in New York you cannot step on to the grounds of a construction site without the 30-hour, and that may be throughout the nation, but I know in New York that is the baseline. You must have that 30-hour. But what they're doing is they're giving those migrants this training free, right? Here's the problem. This is why the story came up. The story came up because there are too many. There are too many, and they cannot keep up with the demand. And there won't be jobs that pay once they get them through the training. So they have a 120-day wait. And I'm just sorry, I'm just trying to share this knowledge for the whole audience. And I'm going to get back to us. But guess what?
Right. Yeah.
That's for migrants.
I know,
That's not for Black Americans who have been found by New York City to be discriminated against in the construction industry here in New York. If they
right?
want to take an OSHA class, they may be able to find a free course, but it's going to be few and far between. Guess how much? It's between $200 and $600 to get
Ooh,
the
I was going to
OSHA
guess
training.
1,500.
Huh?
I
Or
was
maybe
going to guess
600 to
1,500.
1,500.
What?
Maybe. It is very expensive. And if you don't have money, if you are underemployed or unemployed, where are you getting that type of money to pay for the entry level opportunity to go onto a construction site to probably still ultimately be told no?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we are up against it in economics. We're up
Hmm.
against it in housing. We're up against it in business. We're up against it just because we are. And that's what makes your organization so important. Now, one of the questions that came up on that tweet was I said, this is a young Black woman who is the principal because I don't know all of your players. And the person responded, yeah, that's what white people like to do. They like to put a sister out in front. You saw that one, right?
I
What
did.
you did, and you're so cool headed. You said nothing. You liked it, I remember. But what do you say to him? And I mean, I let him tweet twice in that vein. Um,
Hmm.
and before I said, I'm not taking anything away from her for making the effort that no one else has done. So tell us, who is your team? Is there a team? Are there white backers? We don't want another NAACP. And that's what he was fearful of, another NAACP, which really does not, they're too calculated to really stand for our everyday needs. Go on, take it away, Brooke.
And I say that that's completely justified, right? That fear is completely understandable. And so, no, there is no Jewish backing, or excuse me, no small hat dollars. We don't have any white dollars. We are a Freedman owned organization. We actually just hired on a executive director, and we'll be bringing on our executive director and treasurer full time to run the PAC and the Anti-Black Defamation League. We have a couple of press releases or public statements coming up this holiday season that we hope to push the conversation forward about the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments and
Okay.
how they've been taken advantage of and bastardized. And we're hoping to make a big splash in the conversation about affirmative action and the irony of Asians wanting preference, really immigrants continuing to want preferences, and really what their future should be is for them to have to compete against white people for their goals and jobs and things of that nature, and take us American freedmen out of the calculation, since they created this inane sense of race, then they can uncreate it and they can build a lineage based preference system where whoever's been here the longest gets the jobs first. So my people, we've been here since the Mayflower, so I get the job first.
I love it, and I like the fact that you're going to tackle those specific amendments. And our colleague, our friend, our associate, Denise Long, she did a
Yes.
space a couple of months ago on the 14th Amendment. She's like brilliant. You both are, and she went through the 14th Amendment with a fine tooth comb. And I think that's where you start. Like you're saying, you're going to be doing some public statements about these three amendments. our people don't really know. It's a lot. It's a whole lot of living that we all have to do, right? And so we really do need targeted teach-ins,
Right.
because they're very effective to let us know what we don't know, so that we can not have misplaced outrage when we hear that things that we believe benefit us are under threat of being taken away from us. So I will definitely be looking forward to sitting in on those public statements or any teachings that you and your staff do. And I'm glad you were able to hire your ED, your treasurer,
Yes.
and someone to lead the league, because Brooke is very busy, guys.
It's too much.
She's she's the creative, analytically, philosophically, and all of that. But we all know that we need a strong team around us, and I'm so happy that you are building it. And I'm also glad that you did not take offense because at the guy, because um, we have been burned so often.
Hmm.
And even if you read My Face is Black, It's True, a
Mm.
biography about the godmother of reparations, Miss Callie House herself,
Yes.
when the NAACP started, she had already started her organization, but they did not support her. And I wrestle with the figure of W.E.B. Du Bois because I like him. I like what he had to say. But I do wrestle with him because he wrestled with himself, right?
Hmm.
And unfortunately, during that time when Miss House was building the mutual fund for freedmen, he was not on the same page with her because he felt that he needed the support of others in order to do something for us. And I'm so glad that that's not how you feel.
Oh, no. If anything, I've often, uh, within the past week, that point keeps being brought up, right? A lot of
Really?
people are always like, oh, always saying, you guys need numbers. You need immigrants to be here to fight the white supremacists. And I said, no, that's the ugly girl mentality.
Right. I'm not pretty enough. Yes, I'm
I
not pretty enough. I need these others.
right. If I'm pretty, then I get approached by all sorts of different kind of men, right?
Yes.
And as Black Americans, everybody wants to be associated with us. But
Yeah.
just because they want to be associated with us doesn't mean they have the privilege or worthy of being standing next to us on the front line. And quite frankly, if I was looking for a husband, right? If I was really looking for a partner, somebody who was going to stand on the front line, then it behooves us to be selective and exclusive in the
Mhm.
allies and partners that we allow to stand next to us and participate, right? Because
Yeah.
obviously, just like you said, they didn't want to support her.
Yeah.
And so they waited until it got good, and then they took it over
Ex-
somehow,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And the mission has evolved, right? They always tell you when you start a nonprofit and even a profitable business that after a certain number of years, you should reevaluate your mission to ensure that it still works. I remember when I was in seminary and brother pastor friend Osiris Inhotep is in here. If you were on that show with me and Pastor Davis, you saw me sort of reel him in with Pastor Davis so that we can do something for the brothers.
Oh
Sometime
yeah.
next week, that's him.
Okay.
While he and I were in seminary, but definitely when I was doing the MDiv, I don't know if you were there. Yes, he was. He's saying Frederick Douglass was the same way that I was just describing. The
Yes.
voice. Yes, we have to be able to critically analyze and critique these giants in our history. They mean a lot to us, but did they always work on our behalf? That's something that we just have to be willing to do. But to the point about reevaluating your mission, I'll never forget.
Hmm.
I chose to go to the seminary that I attended, that he and I attended, New York Theological Seminary, for a specific reason. It was their mission. There are several
Mm.
seminaries in New York City. We have Union Theological, we have Auburn, we have many seminaries. That was the one that resonated with me because as a Christian, I believe that I needed to see Christian, Jesus Christ or Christian, in the mission of the seminary that I would attend.
Mm.
And it was at New York Theological. They
Okay.
went through that process because there's an accreditation process and they always ask you. They changed their mission. It no longer fit what I needed when I first went there. But so we have to be careful when we advance and
Hmm.
how that advancement either causes us to lose who we initially were or to grow and blossom in that same person. And I feel badly that they did not support Callie House, but I'm so happy that Harvard Black professors have submitted a package to the White House asking President Biden to posthumously pardon Miss Callie House because they trumped up charges on her. She spent a whole year in federal jail because she was
What?
raising money that they were denying. All she was asking, and if we could just think about 38 cents for
Right.
freedmen who had worked all their lives on plantations and they were now too old, to work and they had nothing. 38 cents a month, a month. We can't even conceive of that, right?
Mm.
And they denied her. They denied her. So she started the mutual fund. And it was like, if you say, well, we need to grow the defamation league, send snail mail your monthly dues or yearly dues, whatever it is. That's what she built so they could get a pension. She was fighting for a pension.
Yeah.
Like Al Capone, that's how they got Miss Callie House. They said that she was doing mail fraud and she served a year in prison for doing mail fraud, and she never should have. And that is why Harvard, thank God for them, have taken up this project
Mm-hmm.
to get her pardon. And I'm praying that President Biden will do so because she never should have gone to jail. And so, to that end, I pray that you don't go far away from your mission and start taking the money from others. Um, I
Mm-hmm.
do want to give you an opportunity to tell us how we can become members. And let me ask you two questions. How can we become members of the Anti-Black Defamation League or the ABDL?
Mm-hmm.
And must you be a member for your organization to take up our cause?
Well, going backwards, no, of course not. You don't have to be a member in order for us to take up your cause to help you.
Okay.
The creating of the membership is specifically so that, in theory, we have people available nearby people that are right. So eventually those members will become satellites and chapters and things of that nature, right?
Awesome. Okay.
And so, yeah, no, please contact us, especially if you're not a member. If you have a situation and you don't know what to do, you're confused, you know that it's a hate crime, we were built to advocate loudly on your behalf.
Awesome. That's really great. And let me tell you, there are memberships to all types of things, but I believe yours is only $10 a month or something very nominal. It's so nominal. We could spend $10 on a smoothie, and I've done it, and that's crazy. It's
It
crazy.
is, yes.
Is it $10
Yes,
a month?
it is. It's $10 a month. We actually are taking that and uh, decided, somebody suggested we create a Patreon.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
that way we have a captive audience. We have a way to communicate with everybody. We have a way to really keep people focused on what our objective is, and
Hmm.
then better way to report things that are happening. And so, yes, we're in the process of developing a Patreon that will be open soon. So if you'll go to buyourBlood.org/league, and you can enter in your email address and information, and we'll let you know as soon as that is open.
Backslash what?
League, LEAGUE.
Oh, league. Okay.
League. Yep.
All right.
You almost caught me there for a second.
It sounded like bleed to me. So I want to make sure I got it right. I don't know if we clarified that site that I put up there when Rodney was asking about it before. I don't know if I put that incorrectly, the Valor.
I put something on the YouTube because I
Oh, it's on
couldn't.
YouTube. Okay, I can
Yeah,
put it
in
on
the
the other
YouTube
site
chat.
together. Yep. Okay. So, everyone, if you are interested in becoming a member or finding out more information about the Anti-Black Defamation League, I want to keep saying it so that it can become a household word like the ADL. We all know, but we also know they don't really represent us. And so, Brooke is here to fix that for us. And I so appreciate you. So, she's not ready. Patreon is great. You mentioned earlier, because I've been away from news all day, is Elon Musk planning to shutter Twitter next week? I don't know either, but I want to give a shout out to a black owned platform that the face is similar, and I think you're on there too. Social, is that right? Aren't you on there? I
Social,
really
yeah,
like. I like it.
I like
Let
it
me.
too.
Yeah. Am I spelling this right? Does it have the I in there? Soxcial. I don't know.
Yes,
That's
yeah, I
that's
think that's
correct.
right.
Okay. And
I
it's
think.
.com, right? And they have an app also. I don't use the app. I just use it on my computer. I love it. Listen, guys, if you need a place and it's not Twitter and it's not Facebook and it's not Instagram, social, you really should check it out. I know that there have been others and there are others. This is a place where I like to be. My husband has said you need to step away from social media for a while, right? So this was a new one. Nobody really knew about it, so I just hopped over there, and I find so much value over there. The sharing is awesome, and the platform is very easy to navigate. It's a simple interface, very similar, as I said, to Twitter. You can post all day if you want to. They have categories. So if you want to go into a specific area, like Blacks in Politics, which I'm always there, right? You can find what you need over there. But this is a very good, well done. They're not asking for any money. They have put the money behind the platform. Go and check them out. Soxcial. They are on Twitter. I'm not sure if they're on Facebook, but it is an excellent site. And I hope it lasts. They're nearing about 200 members too in a very short amount of time. Do you like
Nice.
it over there, Brooke?
I do. It's very clean.
It's very
Like,
clean, very clean.
like, easy to. I don't know. Sometimes Twitter is just too much coming at me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot over there. It's a lot over there. But because I love the news, that's why I'm over there, because I was saying in the car earlier that all of the people telling us we should leave Twitter, they're still on Twitter. And that
Yeah.
includes mainstream media. They're saying you should leave Twitter, but they're still there. So why are you leaving while they're still there? In fact, they're breaking their news on Twitter rather than on their shows. So again, make it make sense.
No.
It's crazy. Well, Brooke, this has been amazing. Now, for those of you who don't know, we actually talk like this with each other sometimes. And we don't talk often because she's busy, I'm busy, and it can become easily an hour, but it's a valuable hour. I really value you and all the great work you're doing, especially, of course, with the Black farmers and the Black truckers. Incredible. Now, what I would love to make a pitch for on behalf of all New Yorkers,
Yeah.
we need real watermelons next summer. We really need watermelons that have seeds. We'll take the red, we'll take the yellow, but we need them. So if
Okay.
at all you can have some of your truckers build a route up to New York, we'll find the space. We'll
Okay.
find a space. We just need, right, Pastor? Are you volunteering with that? Yes, Pastor. Look, I'm trying to pull him into. He's like, look, I got stuff to do in my own vineyard. Don't keep pulling me into things, but certainly, we can make it do what it do if you can put
Okay.
us on your list next year, because, and we don't want to have to pay a premium, but we're willing to, because we want organic food. And he said, of course, okay, I got you. When she
Okay.
tells me, and I'm going to hook you all up too, so that you can independently have your own relationship. He's big time. He's big time, but very humble, very humble. But I will connect the two of you and
Thank
work
you.
with you to bring us watermelons and whatever else that we may need up here. We want organic food for our communities because we deserve non-GMO things. Okay.
Yes.
So we appreciate it. Brooke, we're going to give you the last word, letting us know what's next for the Anti-Black Defamation League, ABDL.
Yes. Well, next, the Anti-Black Defamation League. We are planning to make great use of the holiday season. So be looking out for a number of public statements regarding affirmative action, buck breaking, our thoughts and policy, our thoughts on the immigration policies, and things that we can change going into 2023. So please, if you have any questions, feel free to contact us at www.byourBlood.org/league. That's LEAGUE. Thank you.
I'm going to put that back up. Awesome. It's there again on the ticker at the bottom. Excellent. Brooke, this has been an incredible hour with you, sharing
Thank
so much
you.
information. And I honestly feel more comfortable knowing that there are people who look just like me, who understand what it is to be Black, who are fighting for our causes as it relates to anti Black racism and hatred towards us, and in any defamatory language spewed at us. And I appreciate that a whole lot. um,
Thank
Thank
you.
you all for joining us tonight. Share this so that your family and friends will also know that they have recourses as well, that they are not alone, and that we now have our own defamation league. And
That's
I'm
right.
so happy. I'm really very, very happy, Brooke. I wish you nothing other than the very best. When you have the Patreon information, even if it's next week or when Pastor Davis and I do our first Friday, let me know and I will be happy to share it with the audience.
Okay.
Um,
Thank you.
okay. And before Brooke leaves, let me just tee up the next show. And I don't know what day it will be since next week is Thanksgiving and everyone will be with their families. Everyone by now has heard of the horrific story of the young lady, Shalandra, I believe, Robinson from North Carolina. And if I am messing up her name, anyone feel free to correct me. I hate messing names up, but her story is devastating. And as a parent, I can only imagine what her father and mother are going through, knowing that their baby went to celebrate the birthday of one of her college friends, and
Mm.
within 24 hours, she has been murdered, according to the autopsy done by the Mexican authorities. And they have turned this case over to the FBI. I had to text my good friend, Tandra, who has been a friend of Black Talk Platform, and say, we really need to talk about this because
Mhm.
my heart is breaking. And what can we say? What can we do? What can we add? And my idea is that we can add some tidbits for young people in terms of trust and who they spend their time with. And so we will try to get through it without a whole lot of, my usual uh, um, uh, high energy vitriol, I suppose. But um,
That's a weird topic to be high energy about.
I know, but it's just so hurting. And I was talking to my daughter who's away at college, and she's like, "Mommy, I can't listen to anymore, but I have to make her, Brooke. I have to make her listen because
Um,
I need her associating with the right people, and that calls for a level of discernment. And so, sometime next week, we're planning to do a show about her.
okay.
Um, so everybody, please look out for it. Again, I don't know the time, but I am looking forward to sitting with my friend and having that discussion with her. And I know many people are having these discussions, but we want to bring our brand of expertise or knowledge, just to share with young people, male and female alike, all over the world. Trust. Thank you so much, Brooke Sinclair. We are so proud of the work that you are doing with Black farmers and the Anti Defamation League. You didn't get a chance to talk about the PAC, the Political Action Committee,
Next
but you
time.
will next time. Thank
Yes.
you so much. Have a wonderful night. Good night, everybody. And thank you for being here for Black Talk Platform. Brooks, see you in 1 second. Don't disconnect, please. God bless everybody. Take care.